And maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just me feeling that way or whatever it was. But oftentimes I did have the feeling like, this is for a reason. That, maybe this isn't correct. Like you said, people go through horrible things all the time. A lot of times people are destroyed by it. But I always had the feeling that, whatever you want to call it, God, the universe, the source that everything came from and to which everything will one day return, whatever it is. I always had this feeling that it wouldn't be allowing this to happen unless it were for a reason of some sort. And that got me through a lot, too.
Yeah. It's hard to imagine the reason for some things. But, I wouldn't... I think people should... There are a lot of people who say that things happen for a reason, but then you also have to consider that sometimes the reasons may be beyond our understanding.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
What was it like for you when you got out? I mean, you and Lori got married while you were in prison. Did you guys move in together right away? What was it like coming into a world with the internet and smartphones?
It was absolutely devastating. People think that getting out of prison, getting off death row, that's like the finish line, and you hit that and you live happily ever after. And we had not given one single second of thought to what comes after this. Like the entirety of everything we're doing, we're focused on the finish line of getting me off of death row. So when that happens, you realize it's not like the credits roll. It's not like this is the end of the story. When I walked off of death row, I did not have a single penny to my name. I had nowhere to go. I didn't have so much as a suit of clothes to change into. So we had to hit the ground running. I am in a state of shock and trauma. I go from not only 20 years in prison, almost 10 of those being in solitary confinement, to literally overnight being on the streets of Manhattan. It completely and absolutely destroyed me. I had a severe nervous breakdown. When people are thinking I'm supposed to be celebrating and happy, I am breaking down and thinking life out here is harder than life in prison was. It destroyed me to the point that I have almost no memory of the first 2 years that I was out of prison. Oh. If you add up everything that I could remember altogether, it would equal a few hours. I would, a lot of it was like the brain trauma, stuff like that, but I would reintroduce myself to the same person over and over and over again. People that I had dinner with the night before, I would reintroduce myself to them the next day, not even being able to remember that.
How are you doing now?
Getting better. I think I've come a long, long way in the past. I've been out 11 years now. And, a lot of it, I don't think there's anything that's going to completely, fix everything automatically. But a lot better. All in all. And once again, it's like that thing, about it didn't happen to me. It happened for me. It's like, yeah, I could look at that, like, even the memory issues and the nervous breakdowns and all that as something horrific. But it led me to where I am now, which is a relatively happy person. I think I'm probably happier than, honestly, this might sound weird or whatever, but I'm probably happier than 90% of the people that I come in contact with.
I often say there's a lot of people who are born into this world with a silver spoon. Everything's very, very good. They have access to the best food. They have a car whenever they need it. And then when they become adults and now they're on their own, they lose all that and it feels painful. But if you come from the bottom and then later on in life, you got a $600 car that can drive a little bit and you're getting a cheeseburger every day, you're like, wow, this is great.
Exactly.
I can't believe how good life is. I never thought I'd be here.
Exactly.
So here's the very, very cliche thing. Like, what was the first thing you ate after you got off death row, got out?
Everything. No. Really, we went to, we wanted to get out of Arkansas as soon as possible. So the minute that I got out of prison, my very first stop, I had to go to the DMV. Straight from prison to the DMV to get an ID to even be able to fly. We stayed that night in a hotel. We went out of Arkansas across the state line over into Memphis. And of course, everybody who had supported us for years, like a lot of people like Eddie Vedder were there at this hotel, did like a rooftop party. One of the things he did before I got to the hotel was called room service and had them bring everything on the menu to the room so that whenever I got there, everything that the hotel served was in the room.
I mean, so what was that like? I have to imagine the food wasn't too good.
Keep in mind, I was incredibly nauseous. That was one of the things about the brain trauma is like for the first at least year that I was out, I was sick all the time. Like you're nauseous, you have vertigo, stuff like that. So it wasn't like I was starving. It's like, I ate a little bit of everything, but it was almost like just a robotic action. It's not like you're actually enjoying it or anything because you're being shattered. You're going through trauma.
There's I think it's The Green Mile. I'm just all about movies. I don't know if you've seen that one.
Mm-hmm. Many times.
That's the one where when the guy finally gets out, he hangs himself.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, yep.
And that's that. I mean, it's a movie, I know, but people need to understand, and you can probably speak to this way better than I could as someone who just sees it in movies. You build your entire body. If you were in for 18 years, every 7 years, every cell in your body has been replaced. So you're a new person. That means everything that makes up who you are, your worldview, your consumption of information and food, the people you interact with, is incarceration. And then you come out into this world. Not only it's being somewhere entirely different, where everything's different, the technology is different. I remember hearing one guy told me how he went to jail, I think. There's a post online. This is a post online, actually. A guy goes to prison in the mid 2000s, only for a few years for some low level felony. When he gets out, everyone's got cell phones connected to the internet, and because that jump happened from like 2007 2008, all of a sudden everybody had smartphones, touchscreens that can go online. So he goes from this world where there's no internet. When he gets out, everyone's got access to everything, and it tripped him up.
Same for me.
Yeah.
I went in 1993. I came out in 2011. That was one of the things like that I could not understand about the world. I used to have panic attacks for things like using a debit card. How when you go to the grocery store, the thing everybody takes for granted now, you put your card in the little machine, put your number in, and that pays for.
It is your phone. It's right over here. So it's your fucking shit. I don't know, but it's over here. Okay, well, I'll look.
For groceries, to me, that was like alien spaceship level technology. I didn't know how to use that, didn't understand. Like, I can remember going to the bank one time to try to deposit a check, and when I get up to the window, I wait in line. When it's finally my turn, I get up to the window and I have a panic attack and turn around and had to leave without doing it, just because all this stuff was completely and absolute. I had never used an ATM machine. I had never used a cell phone. I had never seen the internet. I had seen on TV like the development of things like computers, but like when I went in prison, a computer was a glorified typewriter for rich people. Like you would put something into it and it would take 30 minutes for that printer to gradually print something out.
Old dot matrix printers.
That's all I knew about computers.
I feel like they don't. I mean, that's got to be a key component of prison reform right there. Is people need to be able to, when they leave, re-enter society easily. Otherwise, I feel like that's probably a component of recidivism.
Yes.
Right, when you get out, you're like, I don't know what to do. So
Yes.
what do? You take.
Well, keep in mind, like even talking about recidivism, I mean, there's so many rabbit holes you could go down here, but like with recidivism, politicians give lip service to doing away with recidivism, decreasing rates of recidivism, all this sort of stuff. But keep in mind, they make money off of every single person in prison.
Yep.
They do things that they know increases your chance of recidivism. For example, they know that the more contacts and connections you have in the outside world with family, with friends, with community, the less likely that you are to come back to prison. So they deliberately do everything they can to limit that because they want you to come back to prison. They want to make money off of you. I was in there for 18 years and 76 days, and in that time, I